Hello, Rodolfo. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Uh, I think hopefully we will be live um, soon. Uh, but let's see here. This always takes a minute.
Yeah,
Uh, we are live. Excellent.
amazing.
So uh, today will be uh, a brief um, Wine Wednesday, but we're delighted to be here. We're going to talk about. We'll do intros in a second, but we're going to talk about Chile, and we're going to talk about Cabernet Sauvignon, and also tomorrow's members only uh, wine drop, which happens to be uh, very timely. So, Annabelle, do you want to introduce yourself? And then uh,
Yes,
I will.
perfect. I welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I make wine in Navarra, but I've worked in Argentina, in Cyprus, in Napa Valley, but currently have my own project here. And as well, I'm part of the SOM team of dVIN Labs. And I'm super happy with the upcoming drop because I think it's a very, very exciting one. So, yeah, thank you so much for introducing me and for being here. And we will talk a little bit more about the drop of tomorrow, a bit more about Chilean wines. As we just discussed, we've been more to the airport of Santiago than we've ever been to really wine country, but it's all very exciting. I think the upcoming wines of Chile, so it's a very good topic to discuss.
For sure. So I'm Rodolfo and I'm one of um, the co-founders of dVIN Labs and Club dVIN. Um, both Dave and Jana are traveling, so uh, you get us today. Uh, I am uh, a veteran of different parts of the wine industry, uh, as well as uh, a our sort of resident wine guru, wine industry guru, uh, and Annabelle is very modest. She is a young, very accomplished winemaker with making wines of uh, real character and distinction in Navarra, in the very north of Spain. Um, and I haven't had a chance to uh, taste Annabelle's wines, but I see all the write-ups, and I'm jealous of those who on the team in Europe have, and hopefully I will get a chance to do so as well. Um, so today uh, we wanted to chat about Chile. We wanted to chat about the upcoming wine drop tomorrow for members, and really to also, I think, talk about um, you know uh, Chilean wine, uh, and it's a long uh, it's a long history, and a lot can be said. Uh, I think Chile has been on the international wine scene for quite some time, and uh, they had I would say, an early mover advantage in coming up on the international wine scene. Uh, you know, they were considered a trustworthy, serious uh, uh, wine producing country with whom you could do business. Uh, and they were also had a lot of early success marketing with a lot of aptitude and a lot of, um, I would say, uh, ordination. The brand Chile, much better than other countries in the southern hemisphere. So they've been a real presence in the global wine scene for decades compared to some other countries. And let's see, Annabelle, maybe, I don't know, you can tell us a little bit about what grape Chile is most known for, and why, and what can we tell people about that grape variety?
Yeah, so I think Chile, in the beginning, there were a lot of bigger producers that had high success in France or Spain or Italy that went to Chile to also produce wines there. So I think it all started with big names that saw the potential, that found amazing places, high attitude, wonderful vineyards they planted. There's a lot of Cabernet, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, obviously, as that is one of the, I think, main varieties they work with. But I think what is really cool that currently you see that those big producers really have started to understand the terroir, to have started to adapt according to each region, to each altitude, to each different soil type. So I think we're starting to see the real depth of the country, that it's really getting to settle in, that everyone understands what they're working with, and it's not just a copy paste anymore. What I think in the beginning, when all of these producers moved there, it was a little bit, okay, we know what to do well. For example, Rothschild knows what to do well in Bordeaux. They copy paste, and now they really started to understand the terroir. They already for a while, obviously, because they moved already a while ago. But I think currently what is really cool as well is you see more and more smaller producers. So for example, I think there are some producers even with Grenache, as I myself am a big fan of Grenache, as it's the variety I work most with. And you see now more and more small producers coming up with really terroir-specific Grenache wines, which I think is super, super cool to see also these kind of adaptations.
For sure. It's a quickly evolving landscape. Chile got to be on the sort of international scene with a grape variety that's originally from Bordeaux, and it's really a minor blending varietal that even in Bordeaux, I would say is really no longer very significant, and that's Carmenere, where, as sort of as Malbec is to Argentina, Carmenere is to Chile. That being said, Chile's most famous wines, the flagship wines, the real sort of traditional standout wines are often Cabernet Sauvignon dominant, with Carmenere as a blending as a blending grape, and then Annabelle's completely right. And I would say in the last 10 years, you've seen particularly, in the farther southern reaches, and then in the farther northern reaches, because it's obviously a very long uh, uh, um, stretch of viticulture, uh, um, and you're now seeing smaller projects work with varieties that weren't really relevant to Chile before, or to focus, their focus on terroir, on the soils, um, on the different peculiarities and specifics of the different growing areas, their microclimates, etc. So that's really exciting, and not something that you could say for a lot of other established wine regions that sort of are play it safe and stick to what they know. And tomorrow's wine drop in for the members is a famous wine produced in collaboration now for nearly 3 decades between the Rothschild family and Viña Conchitoro. It's called Alma Viva. Sort of rough translation would be living soul. And it is really one of Chile's, along with a handful of other wines, it's one of Chile's flagship wines. Cabernet Sauvignon dominant with Carmenere blended into it. And it has perennially earned the acclaim of pretty much most wine critics. And it's a real testament also. The Rothschilds don't go around globally forming joint ventures easily. They have this and they have Opus One. And then the rest is in France. So it's a real, I think it's a real vote of confidence by one of the most established and well-known winemaking families when they decide to do something like this. So we're really excited to be able to offer Alma Viva to the membership. And it's a little bit of a cool opportunity because we have traditionally focused a lot on the old world and France in our wine drops to members. So it's really exciting to do something new world and something different for us. So if you're interested, you need to join Club dVIN. Otherwise, you won't be able to buy the wine. And if you're interested in joining Club dVIN, you should contact us, reach out to us, and we will make sure we can sort of walk you through that process. What else can we say about Chile? I wish I had a glass of Chilean wine here, but I'm on the east coast of the US, so it's a little early for a glass of red wine. Annabelle, you have less of an excuse if you don't have wine in hand.
I know. It is a bad excuse. I just come from bottling, so I could have even got a bottle from the bottling line, but I had to run over, so I didn't have time to check my wine fridge to see what's there. But I think Chile, especially from a winemaker's perspective, this wine drop is really, really exciting because it's such a company that takes so much care of the vineyards from like an environmental perspective. They have so many integration because I'm a biodynamic producer. So for me, I think the vineyards is where the wine is made. And I think this wine it's a super cool drop that is there because I think it's made with so much care, and it's really cool to be able to access it because I think here in Pamplona, and for us to get wines that are from outside of Spain already gets complicated. So if we want French wines, thank God the border is only an hour away. But to have these kind of wines, to be able to access it, it's such a privilege, I think.
Yes, the wine was sourced directly from Baron Philippe de Rothschild. That's the Rothschild side of the joint venture. and Annabelle's right; these wines can be difficult to find in certain parts of the world, certain parts of Europe. So, and one thing to highlight is Chile has really, I think, made inroads in a way that other wine regions haven't, particularly in the New World, in lending importance or highlighting the importance of place. So Almaviva, for instance, comes from the Maipo Valley, which is not too far from Santiago, but it's a growing sub-region, really, a vineyard called Puente Alto or High Bridge, where this comes from, and it's now really a famous vineyard due to the results that have been accomplished there by this JV and other wines that have come from this particular site. And again, that's I think that's Chile sort of forging a path in the New World where specific vineyard sites are generally not as, shall we say, with the US being an exception, they're not really as relevant as they are in Europe and other places. So I think that's particularly exciting. And I mean, there's so much more to be said about Chile, right? Like,
yeah, I think, for example, what is also really interesting, what I never realized that much before I went to Argentina, is the length of the countries, because it's next to each other, obviously. So in Chile, I have never been, but I've been through the whole border more or less. And you can drive for hours, which for us, especially in Europe, I can drive from Spain to the Netherlands, which is in the north, in, well, let's say if I go a bit quickly, 15 hours. And then I pass France, Belgium, Netherlands. I'm in all different kind of countries. Well, in Chile, you can drive for 20 hours and you're still in the same part of the country, which is such an impressive thing, I think, to have. So one wine from Chile is definitely not the same as another wine. It has such microclimates. It also works a lot with altitude, which also completely changes the whole terroir. It changes the whole vines. I think it has one of the highest altitudes you can find for the vineyards to grow, which it really changes the whole way of working.
yes, absolutely. I mean, it's there are probably few countries in the world where from a latitude perspective, the viticulture spans such a incredible range from the very southern reaches to the very northern reaches of viticulture in Chile is thousands of kilometers and days of driving, which is not the case in other parts of in other wine countries. And also, it matters where you are, even though it's a thin country, so to speak. Are you, before the foothills of the Andes or after? And on what side of the slope are you on, et cetera? That produces all sorts of differences. Um, and I would argue, even though we've really been talking about reds, but I would argue, as compared to Argentina, Chile is a real standout when it comes to whites. What they've accomplished
definitely
with white wines is something that is really remarkable. And it has to do a lot with microclimate and the side of the Andes that they're on,
Yeah,
which,
it's fresher. It has a
yeah,
little bit more acidity. It's close to the sea. It's yeah. I think you're completely right there with the whites. It's very impressive, and it's really nice if you could ever have the ability to try some. I did once. I did a tasting with different whites, and they were all blind, and we had to guess the country, what it was from. No one had it right because it was so out of our scope of knowledge to think about, that must be white wines from Chile.
yeah, it's for sure. It would be a humbling blind tasting, but what they've accomplished with whites is remarkable, um, as well as some of the ventures into Pinot Noir uh, uh, are really impressive. Um, but and then, like we said, the current forays into uh, terroir, particularly in the far north uh, and in the far south, uh, where you have winemakers rethinking and re-examining the soils and what grape varieties should be planted there, including uh, you know hybrid varietals and old varieties that date back to uh, date back hundreds of years. That, they date back to the Spanish um, settlers. So those are being rediscovered. Um, and really interesting things are being done with these varieties that um, were 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 dormant or previously. One thing to acknowledge about Chile, which was also true for Argentina, is its race to quality. Many of these producers, which now are famous for their flagship wines, produce for generations and for decades, uh, volume to satisfy local, inexpensive volume wines to satisfy local demand. And even though some of those brands still exist, uh, they're really now known for their, you know, in the fine wine world, they're known for their flagship wines um, that in blind tastings have been put up against some of the best wines from all over the world. And when tasted blind, particularly with some age on them, have uh, have tied or beaten uh, uh, some very, very costly famous wines from France and uh, or super Tuscans from Italy. So those are always, shall we say, really insightful occasions.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because they start to understand more and more what pairs well with the wines, how to make them, which kind of oak to use, what kind of vessels, and yeah, I think currently the quality, and I think Chile in general is known to make a bit more qualitative wine in general.
Yes, for sure. Uh, well, uh, as we said, we would keep it brief today. We know it's summertime for most of you, so we're in late July, almost in August. Hard to believe, but many of you are juggling vacations and what to do with your kids when they're out of school. So we didn't want to take up, excuse me, a huge amount of your time. Stay tuned for tomorrow's wine drop. If you haven't become a member, it's yet another reason to consider that and to reach out to us if you do. If you are interested, I want to thank Annabelle for joining me from Pamplona, from Navarra in northern Spain, and I think it was a fun opportunity to talk a bit about Chilean wine, which is not necessarily our a place we've touched on before or very frequently. So that being said, we're gonna sign off here. Annabelle, I'm gonna let you get back to the winery. If not today, again, certainly you'll be there bright and early tomorrow.
Oh yes, definitely. It's summertime, so it's summer hours. So at 6 in the vineyards or in the winery, because otherwise it gets too warm.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Annabelle, for your time, and we'll signing off here, but we'll see you all on one of our next Wine Wednesdays.
It was my pleasure to be here. Bye.
Bye.